guys, it's Kate and I'm so excited to bring you this video today. So basically a couple days ago I posted a video comparing the top 5 drugstore mascaras, and today I had the same idea except with drugstore concealers, and I actually ended up comparing 6 because I couldn't narrow it down. And over the course of 3 days I did an 8-hour wear test for all 6 concealers, and by the end of the video there's clearly a concealer that won and outperformed all the others. So if you guys want to see which concealer won, just keep on watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. I worked really hard on it and I hope this is helpful to someone out there. I'm just going to jump into day 1 of testing concealers. Okay, welcome to day 1 of testing 2 different concealers. So first of all, each day I'm going to go in and prime my face with the Nivea Men Post Shave Balm. This is the primer I use every day and it's just going to be a constant throughout the testing. So the first concealer we're going to be testing out today is the L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear Concealer. It looks like this and it's in the shade 320 Porcelain. I do have the lightest shade and I'm pretty sure this claims that it is waterproof and it's supposed to be like a pretty full coverage. Now the concealer I'm going to be comparing it against is the e.l.f. 16 Hour Camo Concealer. I have mine in the lightest shade, Fair Warm. So I do know that they have a hydrating version, but my skin is combination. So I figured the regular one will probably work for me. They both claim that they are full coverage and long wearing, so I thought they were good to put up against each other. So my face is already primed and I'm going to start with the L'Oreal one on the left side of my face. Now each day you're going to see that I do the exact same thing. So I'm going to take some, put some on my chin, around my nose, and then I'm also going to put some under my eye. And then with each concealer I'm going to use my finger to blend it out, just because I feel like it's better than using a beauty blender. It doesn't soak up as much product and I can really see how they blend. The concealer does seem to be like, it's not super duper thick, but it's not thin at all. I'd say it kind of falls in the middle. And I'm also only going to do one layer. I'm not going to go in and build it just so that everything's fair. But as you can see with one layer, it seems to cover up some of my acne spots and it's like a medium coverage. And then we're going to go around the nose. I tend to crease a lot around my nose, so we're really going to see how these do throughout the day. Now for under the eyes. Okay, a little product goes a long way, so I feel like I grabbed too much, but that's okay. And we're also going to tap some on the lid. But I'm not having any issues blending it out, so that's good. I do feel like if you have dry skin, this concealer probably isn't for you. Even though it's not super drying on my skin yet, I do kind of get that feeling that it's not hydrating at all, so. Okay, so there is one layer. As you can see, I would definitely say medium coverage. Now we're going to move on to the e.l.f. Camo Concealer on the right side of my face. So this is also a light shade, so I think they're going to look good together. Once again, on my chin, nose, and we're going to put some under the eye. And I'm going to blend it out with a clean finger. Okay, this concealer seems thinner than the L'Oreal one, because as you can see, I feel like it blended out like quicker, and a little goes a long way again. Definitely if you have oily skin, go with this one, but if you even have combination like me, go with the hydrating one because it does seem to be a little bit drying around my acne. Now around the nose. Okay, that blended out well. And under the eyes, I hope it's not drying under here. I definitely probably could have used less product, but I'm gonna tap some on my lid. I do feel like this one isn't blending out as nicely under the eyes as the L'Oreal one. I feel like it's a little bit dry. But as you can see, I'd say the coverage is very similar. They're both like medium buildable. Okay, and now onto powder. For each day, I'm going to do the exact same powdering routine, and I'm going to show you it in this day, but the next 2 days, I'm not going to show you it every single time. I'm just going to say that I went off camera and powdered, but just so you know, I'm doing the exact same routine every time. So basically, I'm going to be going in with my Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder in the shade 05 Fair, and I'm going to dip into it with a sponge, and what I'm going to do every single time is I'm going to take a clean finger, kind of tap out any creases on the L'Oreal side, and I'm going to bake. And then clean finger, tap out, pinch it, set it, tap out creases under the eye, set it. And I'm just going to repeat that same thing with this finger on this side. Now that my entire face is baked, I'm also going to set a timer for 3 minutes every single day and let the bake sit for 3 minutes, and then I'm going to brush it off. 2, 1. Now to brush off the bake, I'm going to go into my Sigma, I think it's F33 powder brush, and then also my Maybelline Fit Me pressed powder. Oh my god. Now I use this powder every single day, and I also use the same baking routine. That's why I'm doing this for all 3 days, just so I know like what to compare it to and I sort of have a constant. So what I do is I put my brush in the powder and then kind of just start to rub off the bake like that. I'm going to do it around my nose. So I will be doing this every single day, so hopefully this will be pretty fair and we can see how each concealer works. Okay, so I'm done powdering, and basically I'm going to go off camera and finish my makeup, and I'll be doing the exact same makeup routine throughout these 3 days. But the next time you'll see me will be at 8 hours, so right now it is 2:45 p.m. and I'll be back around 11 o'clock. Hey guys, so I am back and it's been 8 hours. I feel like this has been such a long day. It's about 9:30. So I want to zoom in and show you the concealers up close. So they both wore a lot like around my lip. They kind of broke up a little bit. Now around the nose throughout the day, they both did crease, while the L'Oreal one I'd say creased less, but because they both kind of made me oily, it kind of looks like they didn't crease anymore, because if the oil like mixed with the concealer and like made it wet, ew, so like it doesn't look like it's creased around my nose. And I'd say that the e.l.f. one made me much more oily. Now under the eyes, I think they both are pretty even with creasing. They both like barely creased. I was actually very impressed. And you know, maybe the e.l.f. one creased a little bit less under the eyes, but they seem really even. Now up close for the chin, as you can see, I definitely say the e.l.f. one looks a little bit more cakey. Like it just looks a little bit more dry in this area, but they both like evenly wore off on both sides of my chin. So final thoughts for both of these concealers, I'm going to have to go ahead and say that the L'Oreal one won, just because I felt like it wore better on my skin. It was a little bit less drying and it just overall looked less like cakey. So the next time you'll see me, it'll be day 2, just in a couple seconds now, and I'll be testing 2 new concealers. Okay, it's day 2 and I am so excited to be testing these concealers today because I've actually used these in the past and these are some of my favorite drugstore concealers, so I'm really going to put them to the test today. So the first concealer is the Maybelline Fit Me concealer. This is my favorite concealer from the drugstore that I know of. This is in the shade 01 Cool Ivory. My hands are shaking so much because I had so much coffee before this. And the next concealer is also a Maybelline concealer. This is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind concealer in the shade 100 Ivory. So I know this concealer is really kind of meant for under the eyes, but it does say multi-use, so we will be using it on the rest of our face. So once again, I'm going to go off camera and prime my face with the same primer as last time. So first, I'm going to go into the Maybelline Fit Me concealer on the left side of my face. So I have used this concealer many times before. I used to solely use it, but it was a little bit too dark for me. As you can see, that shade might be a little bit too light, but I'm very happy that they came out with new shades. I'm going to once again put it in the exact same spots as the other concealers, and I'm going to start tapping this out. Okay, a little, wow, yes. So I feel like apply too much. So I haven't used this concealer in a while, but it is so easy to blend out. Like it's just so nice. It's not too thick. I'd definitely say it's more so in the middle, but it always just looks so beautiful in the skin. But as you can see, it definitely has a lighter coverage than the 2 concealers we tried yesterday. It's more of a light to medium, but it is buildable. Yeah, see, it blends out so nicely. Wow, yeah, I really enjoy this concealer. I feel like it's not drying. The other 2 concealers yesterday were just a little bit too drying on my skin, even though I don't really have dry skin. But this one just blends in so like creamy and nice. I don't know. But as you can still kind of see under my eyes, it's definitely a light medium coverage, but you can build it. Now for the right side of my face, it's the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind. I also used to use this and love it, but it's like I didn't love it enough, so I kind of stopped using it at one point. But I am really interested to see like how I like it now. Something about this concealer blends out better than any of the concealers I've tried so far. The Maybelline one does blend out super beautifully, but something about this concealer feels like soft. If you've ever used it, I feel like you'll know what I mean. But once again, the coverage seems very similar. You can still see my acne spots on both sides. There we go. See, it blends out just so nice around the nose. Yeah, it's just so soft to the touch. I don't really know how else to describe it. I'm gonna put some on my lid. As you can see, clearly it doesn't brighten up my under eyes as much, but it definitely still brightens it up somewhat. And both these concealers are so similar, like neither of them are really drying on my skin opposed to the ones from yesterday. So I'm done blending, and as you can see, they both look very similar. And like I said before, I'm just going to go off camera and apply the Maybelline Fit Me loose powder. I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes, and then I'm going to brush it off with this powder right here. The exact same routine as yesterday, but I am going to do it off camera. Okay, my face is powdered, and honestly, I'm kind of liking the way that the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind looks better than the Fit Me right now. I feel like the Instant Age Rewind one just looks a little bit like smoother, but it's currently about 1:30 right now, so I'll touch back in with you guys in about 8 hours. Okay, so we are finally at the 8-hour mark. It is 9:30 p.m. I've literally been laying in bed all day. Okay, so here I am close up, and we're first going to take a look at the nose. So the Maybelline Fit Me is on this side, and as you can see, it didn't really crease around my nose, so that's actually really surprising. And in the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind, it looks like it did crease a little bit. Other than that, where around here looks pretty much identical, I'd say. They both crease, but I would say the Maybelline Instant Age one on this side creased a tiny bit less. And also, the Maybelline Fit Me, if you can see, creased on my eyelid, whereas the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind didn't. And then if we look at my chin, I'm gonna have to say that they honestly both look identical, but they both broke up somewhat on my chin, but they did a pretty good job. So final thoughts, compared to the two concealers yesterday, I'd say that both of these concealers both beat those out. I would definitely rather use these than either the L'Oreal one or the e.l.f. one. But between these two, I honestly am very surprised with the result. I'm going to go and say that this one won. But I also feel like this concealer has a tiny bit more coverage. I don't know if you guys can tell. It's hard to tell, but I feel like a tiny bit more is on this side compared to that side. So the next time you'll see me will be tomorrow, and we'll see if this concealer still holds up or if other concealers will perform better. Okay, we have finally made it to day 3 of testing concealers, and before I tell you the concealers I'm going to be testing today, I do want to mention the L'Oreal Infallible concealer did break me out. I've worn it twice now, and like a day or two after I wore it, I noticed that I had some like breakouts. And I know it's not from the Maybelline concealer because the Maybelline concealer is non-comedogenic, so it doesn't break you out or clog your pores. But the first concealer we're going to be testing today is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Full Coverage Concealer. It looks like this, and this is the 6th concealer that I ended up adding because I just needed to test it out, and I have mine in one of the lightest shades, C.1. I have used this, I think, once before, but I honestly don't really remember much about it, but I hear such great things, so I wanted to compare it against this concealer, which I have used many times. This is the LA Girl Pro Conceal HD High Definition Concealer. They ended up adding more shades to their collection, which is great. More lighter ones, more darker ones, so I have mine in the lightest shade, Fairest, which honestly is a little bit too light for me. So once again, I've already gone in and primed with my Nivea Men Post Shave Balm, and we're just going to get into applying these concealers. So I'm first going to do the Makeup Revolution one on the left side of my face. Let's hope this one doesn't break me out like the L'Oreal one. It has like, you know, the doe foot applicator, which I do prefer. I apply it in the same spots. This concealer seems more liquidy around my nose and under my eyes. I don't really remember anything about this concealer, so I'm really excited. It's definitely thinner than most of the concealers we've tried, which surprises me. I thought it was going to be thicker. Oh wow, okay. This does say full coverage, but with one layer, I'm not really seeing full coverage. And I actually have some acne spots on this side from the L'Oreal concealer, so you can see that's one layer and it didn't really cover that acne spot. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to go in with more than one layer, but with this concealer in particular, I am just on that acne spot just to see how it does. I'm surprised. I really expected this concealer to be thicker. Okay. Even with 2 layers, it didn't really cover. So this is definitely, I'd say, maybe a medium coverage concealer, but more so, honestly, light right now. Okay, we're gonna go around my nose. It does blend out really easily though, because it's not as thick. I feel like it just doesn't feel as like cakey or drying on my skin, which is great. I feel like the L'Oreal one and the e.l.f. one just felt really heavy. Now, under the eyes will definitely be a true test. I kind of feel like I didn't apply as much product because this doesn't go as far. Oh no, okay. So I let this concealer sit for a minute before I blended out under my eyes as I was busy blending out down here. So it does set, so you don't want to do that. You want to go right in and blend it because it was kind of difficult to blend. So I do actually really like it. It looks very smooth and like hydrating on the skin. Now we're going to go in with the LA Girl Pro Conceal on this side of my face. This is the cheapest concealer out of all the ones we've tried. I think you can get it online for like $2.49, but I think it's like $3.99 in stores. Now it does come with like one of those like brush tips, you have to like squeeze it. But this concealer is definitely thicker than this one. So once again, I know this color is a little bit too light for me, but we're gonna go with it. So it does like feel thicker than the other concealer, but it blends out. This concealer blends out like a dream. But definitely, once again, more of a medium coverage because it did cover some of my acne spots. But I do already know from experience this concealer is buildable. Now around the nose. Yeah, so a little does go a long way. Now under the eyes. Wow, yeah, this is brightening. I'm gonna put some on the lid. So I would say the coverage looks very similar between the two, but I like this one. It brightens up more and I feel like it has slightly a little bit more coverage under the eyes and around the chin. But formula wise, I'd say they both look very identical. They're both hydrating, don't look weird, both are very easy to blend out. Now, once again, as I always do, I'm going to go off camera, apply the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder, set a timer for 3 minutes, and then I'm going to rub it off with the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder, and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back and my face is all powdered and I'm going to go off camera, do the same makeup routine, and I also wanted to mention I do not use a setting spray. I forgot to mention that all 3 days I haven't used a setting spray, but it is currently 1:30-ish p.m. and the next time you'll see me will be around 9:30. Hey guys, so we're at the end of day 3. Wow, it is 9:30. So remember, the Makeup Revolution concealer is on this side and then the LA Girl Pro Conceal is on this one. I'd say the oiliness is equal between both concealers, and then around my nose, the Makeup Revolution one didn't really seem to crease, but also the oils, once again, mixed in with the concealers and kind of stopped them from creasing, if that makes sense. Right there on the LA Girl side, you can see a tiny bit of creasing, but once again, the oil mixed in and like didn't really make it crease that much. Like, these concealers just look so similar, like you really wouldn't really be able to tell the difference even in person. The one thing though is that they both slightly creased on the inner portions of my eyelids. I don't know if you can tell on camera. And then also we're gonna look under the eyes. As you can see, they both creased, and honestly, I mean, maybe the Makeup Revolution one creased a little bit more, but they crease kind of equally to all the other concealers. Now for a close-up of the chin, as you can see, my pimple has completely gone through, and I did put 2 layers of the Makeup Revolution concealer on this and it didn't really cover it. And then otherwise on the chin though, both look identical again. I mean, they rubbed off on like the big chin part and then they sort of stayed around the acne. None of it looks drying. They're both very hydrating. Okay, so we are all zoomed out and we're going to do final thoughts and pick a winner. So I'm going to rank each concealer, 1 being best, 5 being worst, or 6. Actually, we have 6. And I'm just going to start with number 6. So honestly, this would have been number 5, but because it broke me out, it's going to have to be number 6. It's the L'Oreal Infallible Concealer. I hear great things about this and people absolutely love it, but it did break me out, so that's kind of a deal breaker. I'll probably never touch it again. Now for number 5, which should be number 6, is the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer. Once again, people love this. Like, I hear great things about it all the time. It's just, for me, this concealer was a little bit drying and was also kind of hard to blend out in some areas. So I know they have a hydrating one too, and I have to try that, but just because it was a little drying, hard to blend out, it's gonna be number 5. Now, these last 4 concealers, picking spots for them was very, very difficult. All 4 of these are really great, and if you guys try any of these, I'm sure you'll be happy. But for number 4, I'm gonna have to say the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define. Now, the only reason I'm saying this is because it claims full coverage, and as you guys saw, like, my pimple is really out to play. Like, you can totally see it, and I just felt like it was more of a light to medium, so I was kind of expecting greater things with it. But I'm actually really shocked by this concealer, and I'm really, really excited to keep using it. It honestly is great, but it's just because of that claim. I needed a reason to put some concealer in 4th place because all of these are so good, and sadly that's going to be the reason. Now, 3rd place is probably going to come as a shocker because it's honestly all down to personal preference. So I know that I said that I liked the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind better than the Maybelline Fit Me, but knowing myself, my preference, what I like, I'll probably keep using the Maybelline Fit Me and I probably won't really touch this. So just because of that, I'm going to put the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind in 3rd place. Therefore, the last 2 concealers is the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer and the LA Girl Pro Conceal. So honestly, the concealer that I would reach for the most is the LA Girl Pro Conceal. I feel like it has a little bit more coverage and wears a little bit better than the Maybelline concealer. Also, the Maybelline concealer is lacking in shade range. I feel like they don't have as many dark shades and they need to have darker shades. This concealer does have a little bit lighter of a coverage and I feel like breaks up a little bit easily, whereas the LA Girl Pro Conceal, it's what, $2-3? They have a pretty good darker, deeper color section, which is great. And I also like to get a darker shade in the LA Girl Pro Conceal and use it as bronzer, like cream bronzer. It's literally amazing and it's just so cheap. You can have so many different shades. They have like a color corrector, they have like a peach one, they have a white concealer. I mean, it's really a great option. So yeah, the LA Girl won, even though honestly the last 4 concealers I just talked about were basically a tie, like they really were. It really just all came down to personal preference for me and my skin. But thank you guys all so much for watching. If you made it to the end, it literally means the world to me. I really hope this video was helpful and I'll hopefully see you in my next video.